Coming up on Mountain News this morning, former Governor Matt Bevin pardoned a man convicted in a murder. And next month will mark the 8th anniversary of the death of a Pike County Sheriff's deputy. And now a person charged in relation to his death is out of prison early. Plus, we have more information about a fire in Pulaski County that left one person dead as officials try to determine what caused the blaze.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 6:32 on December 12th. I'm Madison Pergram, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning on this Thursday morning. You're almost to the weekend, but let's go to Brandon Robinson. Brandon, it's chilly outside, and are you looking towards the weekend?
I'm looking towards the weekend. I'm doing it for you, Madison.
It's almost there because you're Friday. Yes, we get so excited around here, but it is a chilly day, so people need to pack their coats and their scarves and their hats.
Yes, ma'am, they do. And again, it's just going to be one of those days where you're going to see a little bit of frost on your car this morning. Actually, quite a bit of frost on your car this morning. Maybe a few slick spots on the roads as we take a look at our first camera this morning, WYMT studio camera. Some fog also trying to be a factor for us as we head out the door this morning. So just be careful. Give yourself plenty of time to get around. Less than 1 mile visibility at Middlesboro, 3 miles in Harlan, and there is some fog floating around, patchy, dense fog across the entire region in those valleys, so just be careful. Temperatures 19 Ashland and Jonesville. We're at 25 across a big chunk of the area, including Logan, Pikeville, Wise, Hazard, and Harlan. 24 London, 23 Somerset, and 20 in Monticello and Irvin this morning. So max warming on that coffee meter as you head out the door, your 12-hour planner. We are going to see temperatures climb, though, into the upper 40s and maybe even close to 50 in some locations, but yep, there is always a but when it comes to this forecast anymore. Rain chances return tomorrow, and then possibly some more cold air on the way for the first of next week. We'll talk about it coming up here in a little bit. Madison.
Thank you, Brandon. We have more information on yesterday's deadly fire in Pulaski County. Kentucky State Police say they do not suspect foul play in the death of 89-year-old Samuel Watson. His body was found hours after the fire started. And Kentucky State Police say they're still working to figure out an exact cause of the fire. And Pat Wooten was a man known around Perry County and the region as a person who served his community in many capacities, including as Perry County Sheriff and the Mayor of Buckhorn. Wooten died earlier this week. I talked with those who knew him well about his life and legacy. A name known throughout the mountains.
Sheriff Wooten, he was just always a name everybody in Perry County knew.
Nobody in the school business coming and going would ever think about Buckhorn and not think of Pat Wooten.
For his love and dedication to this community.
He spent his entire life literally fighting for and proverbially fighting for our way of life here in Perry County to make it a better quality of life.
An inspiration for Sheriff Joe Engel, his picture hangs alongside Wooten's in this hall.
I know if I could script my life the way I'd want my story to be wrote, it would be a blueprint of how Mr. Wooten lived his life.
But his heart reached many, including that of his students and players like Larry Sparks.
He empowered you to feel like you could be in something special if you were really willing to work and give great effort.
It was not just about winning the game on the court, but about succeeding in the game of life by instilling one thing.
Just believe in yourself. Believe, that you can be as good as anybody else.
Leaving a legacy.
Perry County is definitely a better place because he was here.
And an impact on the area and people he loved. Now, Wooten was 74 years old, and funeral arrangements have not been announced at this time, but when we know them, we will post them on our website at WYMT.com. And one of the several Kentuckians pardoned by the former governor was a Knox County man originally convicted of reckless homicide. Former Governor Matt Bevin chose to pardon Patrick Baker, one of the 5 people convicted for killing Donnie Mills in 2014. And according to the Courier-Journal, Baker's brother and sister-in-law threw a fundraiser in Corbin in 2018 for then Governor Bevin. The Mills family was beside themselves yesterday, wondering why this pardon was given at all.
He is no better than the rest of them. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care who you are, what you did, or whatever. That don't give you a right to take somebody's life.
Baker had been convicted of several crimes, including reckless homicide, and had been sentenced to 19 years in prison. And a grand jury will hear the case of a Knox County woman charged with kidnapping. Police say they found a teen at Darlene Elliott's house late last month. The boy went missing days before. They believe she picked him up and then took him to her home. The grand jury will decide whether to indict her. And next month will mark the 8th year anniversary of the death of a Pike County Sheriff's deputy. James Thacker was 53 years old, and police say the man that hit him, David Childers, was under the influence of cocaine and opioids. Yesterday, he was released on bond in 2 years before his expected release date. Thacker's widow tells Connor James she is extremely emotional about everything, but hopes that Childers has learned his lesson.
James Thacker was many things: a deputy, father, grandfather, and husband. He was dedicated to his work as a deputy sheriff in Pike County. Near the end of his shift, one January night in 2012, his cruiser was hit head-on by an SUV.
His death was while he was serving us for the sheriff's office. His life was taken too soon.
The community mourned. Thacker, a former constable, was loved by many.
I mean, he was a upstanding citizen of the community as well, and was very well known and very well liked by everybody in the county.
The man in the SUV that hit him was David Childers. In a police report, it was alleged he was high on cocaine and opiates. This is video from his sentencing.
I understand by pleading guilty this morning, you were waiving your right to a jury trial.
Childers pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter and being a persistent felony offender in relation to that crash. The charge was amended from first-degree manslaughter.
We were married for 6 years. We were together for 8. So, yeah, that cut way too soon.
Kathy Thacker Casey, Thacker's widow, talked with us on the phone about James.
He loved serving his community. He loved his family. He loved his grandchildren.
She has since moved to Tennessee. The crash happened along her route to Pikeville.
And I just could not stand him having to go by that every day.
She says knowing Childers is out does bring her pain, but she hopes that pieces of James's legacy, like this memorial dedicated to fallen officers in Pikeville, serve as a reminder.
The reminders there of James will be enough to keep him from doing this again to some other family.
Now, Childers had been sentenced to 20 years in prison, and the parole board granted Childers release during a hearing in late November. That is about 2 years before his expected release date of August 25th, 2022. And in Pulaski County, a man is behind bars after deputies say he's made threatening statements against deputies. Deputies stopped Christopher Campbell Tuesday night, and while talking to him, investigators say they ended up in a scuffle with him. Deputies say Campbell smelled of alcohol and had an open container in his truck. They also found cats inside, and Campbell faces multiple charges, including DUI, terroristic threatening, and cruelty to animals. And a neighborhood crime alert out of Mingo County, West Virginia, where members of the church are dealing with a thief making off with their bus. The bus belongs to Mount Hope Church, and it was used to take local kids to youth group for a worship service and a hot meal. Peyton Wilson drives the bus to pick up any kids that want to come to Monday night services. The bus was donated in June, and when it's not being used, it's parked in Peyton's driveway.
So we just wanted it at someone's house without it being left here. You wouldn't think that somebody would come to someone's house and steal a church bus. I mean, it would just be a huge blessing if somebody would just return it or knew where it was, or even if it just had some minor damage, just leave it, just return it, call us. No one's going to care. We just want it back.
The church says they just want the bus to be brought back, but they also know this is something they think can get through with a little help. And the Lexington Church is once again planning a trip to Harlan County to help minors laid off from Black Jewel. Church volunteers spent last night sorting toys for the children of minors who lost their jobs earlier this summer. The church says they have already donated school supplies and coats earlier this year. Now they say during the season of giving, they are staying true to their mission of helping others.
It's just been such a blessing for us to be able to share with our friends there in Harlan, Kentucky. But the feeling that you get sharing at this particular time of year is just very special.
The church says they are still collecting donations through tomorrow, and they will be loaded up on buses to bring to Harlan County on Saturday.
truly is the most wonderful time of the year. We're taking a look at the Stonecrest Golf Course camera over in Prestonsburg this morning, and the full moon, the last full moon of this decade, 2019, going into 2020 here in about 2 or 3 weeks there. And we're going to continue to see a little bit of maybe some snow patches there on the mountain there, a little higher up than Prestonsburg. We're looking at 1 mile visibility in Harlan, so that's kind of an issue, or excuse me, in Middlesboro, that's kind of an issue this morning. 5 miles visibility in Harlan, so limited visibility across the Cumberland Valley and across the region. So just give yourself some time to get out the door, give yourself some time to scrape those cars or warm them up this morning because it's cold. 30 in Jackson, that's the warm spot, and that's not saying a whole lot. 19 Ashland and Jonesville this morning, those are the cooler spots. 20s across the rest of the region. Irvin close to the 19-degree mark right there. When you factor in a little bit of wind, it feels like the single digits out toward Monticello, and low 20s across a big chunk of the area. The out-the-door forecast today is going to take us up toward 50 with some sunshine one more day, so enjoy it because some changes, of course, Madison, are coming.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. Here's a look at what's ahead. Rescue helicopters report no signs of life on White Island Wednesday following a volcano eruption that left 8 dead and dozens injured. And an Indiana family is suing after a toddler fell to her death on a cruise ship in July, saying the design of the ship was dangerous.